Hey line walkers, it's Jamie from IToldYouIWasSick.com, and I am doing a different kind of video today. I usually do not do candid anything because I am just such a much better writer than I am a speaker, but I'm going to give this a shot and see how it goes. If you've been following my Instagram, you probably know that I had a colonoscopy endoscopy last week. And I kind of wanted to talk about that candidly. I know that I could write about it, but I feel like it's something that I'm going to have to share as I'm thinking about it. Because one, I'm autistic, and two, I have PTSD. And those two things sort of keep me from understanding what I'm feeling at the moment. And sometimes I get so traumatized by something that I can't express my feelings for a long time. Or I can't express them adequately. So sometimes talking about it actually does help. So that's what I'm going to do here. So a little bit of background for those of you who don't know that I have a history of stomach issues. I had been having a lot of strange symptoms. See, I a lot. This is why I don't do this. A lot of weird symptoms. I've been having, sorry for the TMI, but I've been having bleeding hemorrhoids, or at least that's what I thought, and I've been having stomach pain and all sorts of just not fun stuff. And I used to have this problem a lot when I was younger, before I realized that I was completely intolerant to gluten and stopped eating it. And now I have developed new food intolerances, which absolutely sucks. So I went to the doctor, finally, went to a gastroenterologist, because I'm somebody who takes care of everything naturally. I refuse to see doctors if I can help it. So I went to the doctor and, excuse me, he asked me, and I quote, after examining me, "Do you feel comfortable getting a colonoscopy endoscopy?" And I was looking at him and I said, "No, I don't feel comfortable with it, but I'll do it," because humor is my way of dealing with things I'm scared of. So we booked the appointment, and I was given, some Dulcolax capsules or tablets to take, and told that I was doing the Miralax prep, whatever the heck that meant. And I proceeded to get scared. I know that it's a really routine procedure, but I was terrified. But I'm like, all right, I can do this. I couldn't have done it when I was younger. To find out what was going on with my stomach back then, it probably would have been better for me if I had, but there's no way I ever could have handled that with my anxiety. So I find out about this, and I actually meet somebody who has stomach problems as well, and who's gone through a lot of these procedures. So she has been incredibly helpful, and I appreciate her very much, and you'll find out more about why in a few minutes. The day before I had to do my prep, which was last Tuesday, I kind of had a last hurrah, and I did something stupid, and I had a shot of Fireball. I don't think it would have made much of a difference, truthfully, but I did anyway. And the day of the prep, I started to document what I was going through, because I wanted to document it for my Instagram stories, and I kind of wanted to just see, what is this really going to do to me? Because everybody I've talked to has been like, oh, it's no big deal, you'll be asleep for the whole thing when you go through the procedure, it's the prep that's really hard, you'll have to stay near a bathroom and blah, blah, blah. But in my experience, it was hell. What I went through was hell. And I know that it's because I have PTSD, OCD, I have anxiety, I'm on the autism spectrum, and I know that because I'm on medications too, to kind of keep all that in check, not that autism can be kept in check, but you know what I mean. Not only did I have to drink the most disgusting things, which I really don't care about drinking gross things, but I had to drink the Gatorade and the Miralax, which was gross. Plus take the stool softeners, so ew. And I was doing okay for a little while. And then basically when you're going through a colonoscopy prep, It's similar to having food poisoning. You cannot stop. You have to have the bathroom. You should just sit on the toilet all day because you never know when it's just going to happen. And so that part was gross and it was exhausting, but and it was demoralizing. I mean, not like anyone was judging me, but it really is a very humbling experience. I found it to be extremely anxiety producing after a few hours of, barely making it to the bathroom and having to put up with all this. I found that it was, I don't know, at some point during the night, probably at like 1 a.m, I just started crying. I'm like, I can't do this. And I wasn't going to, call and cancel because, no, I mean, if you're going through hell, you keep going. And I'm not going to go through this purge just to cancel and say, never mind. Excuse me. But, so I kept going through it. I finally decided, all right, I'm going to try to lay down and relax, and my stomach just wouldn't stop. And as it is, I've already got an overactive bowel, overactive intestines, overactive everything. I mean, if I feel an emotion, it goes straight to my stomach. So I'm already tired, nauseous, anxious. I feel gross. I feel weak. And I feel totally out of control of my own body. And for someone on the autism spectrum, that's not fun. Because we like order. And we like everything to be predictable, and there is nothing predictable about this. So I get in bed, and I'm listening to some calming music, and I'm trying to sleep. Now, mind you, I have spent the past 4 years, because I have trouble with sleeping, taking something before I go to bed so that I can sleep, because my anxiety is really bad. Well, I couldn't do that. And because all of the medications that I do take were flushed out of my body at a rapid pace, my body started to go through withdrawal and detox. Yay! So I get into bed, I close my eyes, and I have to get up every hour or so to go to the bathroom again. At this point, I was so weak, I had to hold onto the walls to get there. And I had anxiety attacks basically all night, and when I did fall asleep, I had terrible nightmares and flashbacks and all that crap. And I was like, all right, I can get through this, but I got up and I'm like, okay, it's almost time. And here's the really stupid thing. I scheduled my procedure for 1:30 in the afternoon. Now, somebody who knew better than me should have told me, you want to schedule this as early as possible because you want the torture to be over as early as possible. But no, my night owl self thought that it would be a good idea for me to do this at 1:30. So I get up and I start the second half of the prep. I go to drink it. First glass goes down okay. Get the second glass. All of a sudden, I am hurling everywhere. Granted, I made it to a toilet, so I'm happy about that, but it was all pure liquid coming out of my mouth and my nose. And it was just horrible. I was so defeated. At that point, I was so defeated. I'm like, I cannot take this anymore. So I'm laying there in bed, trying to catch my breath, feeling like absolute shit. It's only 9:30 in the morning, so I still have to wait. And then I get, oh, hold on. I lost my light. Pause. There we go. So I'm sick as a dog, and then I get a call from my aunt who's supposed to take me. Actually, I get a text from her. And she tells me that there is a possible bomb at my cousin's school. So she can't take me. And at that point, I just completely lose it. Because now I don't care about my own health. Now I don't care about my own body. I don't care about all the hell that I've gone through. I only care about my cousin. And I can't even tell you what it was like to have that fear switched so completely and the direction of my emotions just switched so completely. I thought that something horrible was going to happen. And so then I had to call someone that I've only been dating for a few weeks and be like, can you take me? Which was awkward. But thankfully, she did not make it awkward because she does have stomach problems. She understands. So I find out that, my cousin is fine. It's possibly a false alarm. They've sent the kids home. Nobody got hurt, which is wonderful. I get into the procedure. I get to the hospital, and then I've got to fill out this paperwork. Now here's a complaint I have. If you are barely clinging to sanity, you're exhausted, tired, weak, you feel horrible, I don't care how mentally healthy you are, you're not going to feel well when you walk in those doors. Well, they decided that it would be a good idea for me to fill out paperwork. So I was like, okay, I can fill out a little bit of paperwork, but I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember I knew the medications I took, but I just couldn't remember the things I needed to remember. And thank God, they finally got me back there. And, they hook you up to saline IV. And I had the kindest, sweetest nurse. I couldn't have asked for better. And she was very helpful. So, and my friend came back there with me and made me laugh and joked around with me. And that was really sweet. So when it was time, I went in, they wheeled me into the OR, and they took my glasses off my face because they had to, but I was so scared, I couldn't see anything. And at that point, it was really real. Like, when they're wheeling you down to the OR, there's no going back. And I just couldn't wait for it to be over. So I get in there, they're like, kind of joking with me a little bit and trying to make me feel at ease. And I'm ready to just jump out of my skin. They hook you up to everything, monitors, oxygen, stuff like that. They have you turn around on your left side. And no, I'm not going to get into a huge amount of detail because I wouldn't know. Not that I would do that anyway. But, so the scariest part was when they need to put a piece in your mouth for the endoscopy because they were going both ways, like down and up. So they put this piece of plastic, like a green plastic, in your mouth, and I'm like, oh, it was like a horror movie. I was like, I can't do this. I kept saying through the piece of plastic, I'm so scared, and that's all I could say. And the anesthetist was like really close to me and said, it's okay. You're going to be asleep in like 10 seconds. The next thing I know, I wake up in recovery. And they get me a little settled, and they have my friend come back in, and I was like, I am legendary. That's all I could think was like, I cannot believe that I got through it at all. I just can't. But I have to tell you something. The anesthesia is amazing. The amount of anxiety that I was going through was so strong that I didn't think anything could knock it out. And of course it knocked me out, so it helped with the anxiety. But unfortunately, the story doesn't really end there because I woke up, I found out that what's been causing my problems is I have something called diverticulosis, which means I have pockets in my lower intestines that get inflamed when I eat certain foods like nuts and seeds and things like that. And, which sucks, because now my diet's even more limited because I'm gluten-free and now I've got to be like seed-free and nut-free and I can't have certain fruits, and this is just going to be a whole process. So when I got home, I was very lucky that I had somebody with me to hold me and comfort me and be there for me, and I'm very, very grateful, like so grateful for that. And I noticed that the next day, that's when the aftermath really hit me, because then when I went to bed that night, I was still wired. Even though I was weak, I was basically starving, I had gone through a lot of physical and emotional trauma, I was still awake and like I had this energy. It was really strange. It was like my body was exhausted, but my mind was just on fire and just like doing all these things. So I couldn't take a sedative again that night. So I went to bed. Thankfully, I wasn't getting up to go to the bathroom anymore. That was wonderful. Not having to do that was a blessing. But I did wake up constantly. I did have nightmares all night. It wasn't a peaceful sleep. And then by the time I got up I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. Any effects that the anesthesia had completely wore off. And I was just like, I felt like an empty shell. Again, I am autistic, and I am somebody who also has PTSD and anxiety and OCD, and I take medication to stabilize me. Now, if I missed a couple doses of medication in a normal average week, I'd be fine because the stuff stays in your system. But this was completely flushed out of my body, and I felt as vulnerable and scared and freaked out and irrational as I did in 2014 when I had a complete nervous breakdown and needed to go into the hospital for 5 weeks. So not only was this traumatizing because of that, it also, I am, crap, I lost my train of thought. I hate it when that happens. It happens all the time, though. I just know that somebody like me hates change of any kind. Hates it. And waking up the next morning, having to basically force feed myself. I force fed myself a smoothie. I didn't really want it. I force fed myself some cheese. Didn't really want that. I didn't want anything. And my autism symptoms were back with a vengeance. I was staring off into space. I was rocking back and forth. I was having bouts of crying, and I was barely hanging on to my sanity. I felt horrible. And I think that somebody who's healthier and who is not on the spectrum and who doesn't take medication probably would not have gone through this kind of torture. So I'm just saying, don't let this deter you from getting a colonoscopy or an endoscopy if you need one. But this is just my experience, and it was definitely rougher on me than I thought it would be. So about 24 hours after I had the anesthesia, I was like, I'm taking my sedative. So I took my sedative. That didn't do anything. Took the second half of my sedative. I was able to take a nap and relax, finally. And then I woke up with an appetite, and I ended up getting my favorite food from my favorite restaurant. And I was just so happy. I felt like somewhat normal again. But it's taken a while. Like, that was Friday. Saturday, I want to say I stayed in bed all day. I was still having a lot of trouble, like, just recovering. Sunday, I'm trying to think, was it Saturday? Oh, sorry. Friday, I spent all day in bed recovering. Saturday was a better day. Sunday, I was still, yesterday, I felt better, but I'm still, like, even now I still feel weak. Well, here's the fun thing. Apparently, when you have diverticulosis and you have a colonoscopy and everything else, you shouldn't eat any nuts and seeds. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to have seeds. That much I did know. But I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to have nuts. See, because when I left, nobody gave me a diet for this. Nobody gave me a diet for diverticulosis because my doctor still wants to look and see what else is wrong so he can give me everything at once. So my dumbass decided that it would be a good idea to have some gluten-free pecan banana bread that my roommate made, which was really good. And then yesterday, I had it the day before, and then yesterday I was like, pretty average day, but still really weak. And I'm like, all right, it's just going to take me a long time to recover from this, I guess. That's fine. And I go to the bathroom, and then having a GI bleed. I'm like, great. So I was concerned, called the doctor. Of course, it's Labor Day, so who's going to answer? And they said, well, this could happen. And I'm like, well, it's a little bit of a delayed reaction, but okay. And then I was looking up stuff. I was also talking to my mom, who's a nurse, and she asked me what I'd eaten, and I was like, well, I had pecans, and she's like, you have to be careful. You have to follow a low residue diet. And I'm like, what's a low residue diet? So I find that out, that I have to do this, and I'm like, I really wish somebody had sent me home with paperwork saying that, here's what you should be eating, because I don't know. I've never gone through this before. So I figured that out. I have to look it up on the internet, which is giving me I don't want to say flashbacks because it's not that serious, but it's reminding me of the time that I was told that I had gluten intolerance when I was younger, but nobody bothered to tell me what I could and couldn't eat. It was kind of like, you're on your own, good luck, which is how I told you I was sick, was born in the first place, which I guess that's a good thing. But I've always felt like I'm on my own, and it's like, could somebody tell me something? So I realize it's Labor Day. I feel sick. My anxiety is still bad. It's still not under control. My sensory processing issues are still there. It's getting better every day. But my senses are heightened, and I mean, I really feel autistic. So, which is fine, except for when the symptoms get, like the sensory overload gets really bad. So I had to go to Walmart on Labor Day. So many people. So many shrieking children. So many aggravated people, just so many people. And I noticed my emotions completely reverted to how I used to be before I was taking medication and I was in therapy and I was on, doing DBT therapy, which is amazing. I mean, somebody asked me like what I was looking for because I was staring at the rice. I was trying to find white rice and I'm looking at it and they're like, can I help you find anything, or what are you looking for? And I just gave them this blank look, and I'm like, I don't know. And I must have looked like a zombie. I could feel my anxiety getting worse and worse. I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. So I managed to pick up the things that I need, which basically for a low residue diet is white rice pasta. You can have chicken, you can have fish, a little bit of milk, not much. I'm trying to think, what else did I get? I got these crackers, but they're gluten-free crackers, but they have like no taste. I got some brie. I'm not a brie person, but I need my cheese, man. So I got some brie, which is allowed on the diet, and a couple of other things. So I'm gonna have to just be really bland for a while, which is fine. But it's just kind of where I'm at. I thought about writing about this experience, but it just wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have conveyed what I wanted to convey in that. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that people should not get colonoscopies, but I'm saying if you are an autistic person, if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, if you have severe anxiety, the prep might be especially rough on you, not because you're headed to the bathroom constantly, but because of the medication detox. And also because your routine is completely disrupted and you have no control. And those are things that people on the spectrum don't handle well. So this was an emotional roller coaster, but I wanted to share it. I'm coming out on the other side of it. I started eating my low residue diet yesterday. I noticed that I went to the bathroom, everything was normal. So I'm very excited about that. I still feel as weak as a kitten though. I mean, I can't do the simplest things. I do dishes and I have to sit down and rest with the air conditioner on full blast. I can't even turn it off for this recording because my body is just still adjusting. So it's going to take a while. But I don't know. I wanted to share that story. I apologize for the TMI. But if anybody who is on the spectrum and or has mental health issues and takes medication, mental health medication, you might want to hear my story just to prepare yourself. I'm not saying you're going to go through the exact same thing, but nobody tells you how to deal with this, or at least I never found it online, how to handle a colonoscopy prep when you're autistic, or how to handle a colonoscopy prep when you have PTSD. So this is your guide, and I apologize if it's a little scary, but it's a little scary. Ultimately, I am absolutely grateful that I did it because I got validated with a diagnosis of diverticulosis. There's probably other things going on, and he's going to get back to me. So when I say it was worth it for me to say I told you I was sick again because I knew something was wrong, and once again, I was proven correct. So that's my story. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. I'm strong. I've gone through so many things, but I just wanted to tell you and let you know so that, if you're similar to me, if you go through similar issues to me, that you don't feel alone. But you will get through it. You will. You're much stronger than you know, and if you have good support, that's even better. So I'm going to end this video for now, and I'm going to post it up on YouTube and my blog. If you want to follow me, click on the links below. If you're on YouTube, if you're on my website, click and there is a link, I'll put it below, where you can sign up for my mailing list about, ironically, how to heal your gut. And I still think all of it holds true for today. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next video.